Now the thing with rearranging formulae is we need to remember some key bits. So we need to remember for a formula, there's a subject. So if I take a formula like v equals u plus at for the velocity of an object, then this is known as the subject. It's the thing that we want to find the value of, knowing the values of other letters. So we need to rearrange. So I might want to make t the subject. So make t the subject. Well, what that's saying is I need to change it to t equals. So in other words, I need to leave the t where it is because it's positive, and I need to move the other two letters to the other side. So always do the things that are not attached to the term with the letters, the subject letter in it. So we would subtract u from both sides. So we end up with v minus u is equal to, well, u take away u is nothing, left with at, and then I need t as a subject, so I leave the t, and then I've got to move the a. So this is saying a times t, so I divide both sides by a, so we end up with v minus u divided by a is equal to t. So when it's saying things like rearrange and make something the subject, it means I want the letter they're talking about on the left hand side on its own equal to the rest of the letters moved around, or numbers if it involves numbers. So let's have a look at what these questions are going to ask us to do. So we want p as the subject. So in other words, we're trying to get to p equals. So when we look at this, there are two things to move. There are the plus 5 and there's the 3. The p can stay there because it's positive, and therefore we can move the other things, and then p will be on its own as we need to, p equals. Always do the terms that are not attached to the letter itself, the subject letter first. So we've got a plus 5 here, so we'll deal with that first. The opposite of plus 5ing is take away 5. The reason that works, 5 take away 5 is nothing, so that will disappear and move to the other side. Always come top down, and therefore write down what you see. So we've got y take away 5 equals 3p. Now we don't need to know what the answer is to y take away 5 yet, because it's just an expression that when we know some values we can work it out. We've still got the 3 next to the p, we need the p left on its own. 3 times p, opposite, divide, so divide by 3. And the reason that works, of course, is 3 divided by 3 is 1, so that will leave me with 1p, which is what I need, p on its own. So y take away 5 divided by 3, we write down as y take away 5, and we use that symbol to mean divide, so y take away 5 divided by 3, and that equals p. And because p is on its own, you can simply switch these two over sides. So we end up writing p equals y take away 5 divided by 3. Okay. Now this one's slightly more complicated, but it's still just going to follow some simple rules. So we want a as a subject, so in other words we want a equals. So the a is there, so the things I need to move are the u squared, and I need to move the 2, and I need to move the s. That will leave the a on its own. The a is positive. Now if a wasn't positive, it was a negative there, then we'd have to do something with it first to get to the other side to make it a positive thing, because the subject letters are always positive. So let's have a look. Well, again, always the term that's not with the subject letter first. The 2 and the s are with in the term with the subject letter, so they get done last. So the u squared is going to be first. Well, the u squared is at the front, and although we don't write it, we should remember that the operation at the front of things, if there's nothing else in front, it's always a plus. So the opposite here is take away u squared. Again, coming top down, see what you see. We see phi squared take away u squared. That leaves us, well, u squared take away u squared is nothing, so they've cancelled each other out. So we're left with 2as. Now here we've got the 2 and the s that are in the way, and they're being multiplied by the a. So the opposite of that is divide. So we're going to divide by 2s both sides. So we end up with v squared, again coming top down, what we had originally, v squared minus u squared, divide by the 2s. And that will leave us with a. The reason this works, 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that's cancelled out, and s divided by s is also 1. And that leaves us with 1a. Rewrite it the other way around, So a equals v squared minus u squared, all divided by 2s. Now again, when we look at this one, we want p as the subject. So we've got a 2 to move, we've got a +4 to move, and we've got a k to move. Now, when you've got fractions involved, the key idea is to take the k across to the other side first. Now, what we mean by take the k across is not a takeaway. We've got to just move it across by doing the opposite operations. So here we're saying divide by k. So the opposite operation of that will be times by k. Again, coming top down, write what you see. So we've got r times k, which is rk, and that equals 2p plus 4. So we've got the fraction part moved first, the denominator part moved first. Then we've got to think about, I want p as a subject. So this is a term not next to the subject letter, or not attached to the term with the subject letter in it. So we do the take away 4 next. So we've got rk, take away 4, again, top down, what we had originally, take away the 4, and that equals 2p. Well, the only thing we've got left to move now is the 2. That'll leave the p on its own. 2p means times, so divide by 2. So again, write down what you had originally, and then divide by the new thing. And that leaves us with the p, because 2 divided by 2 is 1, so we're left with 1p. So again, we write down what's going on. So that's a reminder about the principles of rearranging formulae. It is about opposite operations. It is about doing moving the terms that don't have the subject letter in first, and then deal with the term that has the subject letter in the opposite way. That bit must work. Key idea, when you've got a fraction involved, then always, if you can, if that says divide, move it across as multiply, and then deal with the term with the subject letter in it. So that's rearranging formula, guys. Again, practice, practice.